Okay, welcome to the SnoWest Show. I am Ryan Harris, the host of the SnoWest Show, publisher of SnoWest Magazine. You can still get the magazine. Yes, we do still print magazines. We're actually in our 50th year.
Wow.
This winter marks 50 years of printing that dang magazine. And my goal, I've been running it since 2007. My goal was to hit 50 years printing. And we've done that. And I think we're going to keep going with it. Like, why not, right?
Yeah.
It still works. We do everything else. We do social media, website, YouTube, all that stuff. But some people still like the magazine.
I got something a little special for you, Ryan. I was at my parents' house the other day, and I still had the box of, like, magazines of, like, the very first sled heads that got printed. And, dude, I'll be posting some stuff. I have some pristine magazines.
Because you were on the cover of the very first issue of Sled Heads.
Yep. Yeah.
That's
actually,
awesome.
So I thought it was Garth.
No, it was you because Court took it.
Mm-hmm.
Was it Garth? Maybe
I don't know.
It was. I swear it was you. On the 440.
Oh Jesus! I might have this magazine too.
Man, I'm gonna have to go back and look now.
Oh wow!
That's gonna take a trip to the basement.
Yeah, well. Anyway,
going in there. Yeah, it's just dust. Like,
it's gonna be sick.
The SnoWest magazine was the holy grail. That's for sure. Still is.
Yeah, Sledheads was a lot of fun.
It was. I loved Sledheads.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, we've got Gabby Hockley.
Hello.
Am I saying that right?
That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
Julianne Chaplin.
Yep.
Chapman. My tongue
enough.
just wants to say Chaplin. Julianne Chapman. I thought we had a legend here earlier today, but holy cow, we have Julianne.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, you have created stuff in the industry that is just very impressive. Like the biggest women's ride group, I would say, right?
Yeah, no, totally.
Is that fair statement?
Been around, I want to say I was one of the first for sure. It's been eye-opening and very fortunate to be in this industry.
How many riders do you get involved in that?
On average these days, like, are you talking pre-COVID or during COVID or after COVID?
Yeah, one of each, I guess.
Yeah, I guess pre-COVID, we're talking like maybe 100 riders per season, 125 riders. During COVID, it was pretty quiet.
So what's the biggest group ride when you've got everybody out on the mountain at once?
Oh, we don't usually take more than like 15 people at a time with multiple different coaches. Like, it's never more than 5 people per coach. So we'll break up if we're a big group. It gets a little dangerous and hard to count the cats in line and when you're more than 5 people. So, yeah.
Yeah, and then we have Dan Adams, Next Level Riding Clinics, Polaris Climb Ambassador. Climb, a group for you is typically smaller, right?
Yeah. Well, we're trying to. Yeah, when I started, we were 10, 12. I mean, I think the largest group to Next Level was 18 with a bunch of instructors. You were probably on one of those, big ladies class.
Totally.
And it gets messy. There's a lot of, it is herding cats. There's just so much going on. You rarely even see people and kind of build that connection. So we've changed everything over the years here, and everything's a private class. It's way more intimate, smaller groups. The learning environment is better. Everybody knows each other. A lot of them are return clients. We skip all the pleasantries. It's no more of this like, hi, let's get to know each other. Like, people come, they've already been through the process. Let's go snowmobile. And that's made things a lot better.
Yeah, because it could take you an hour. I've been on some of your rides. It could take an hour just to get down the road and then up Squaw and then to where you start riding. And then you're bouncing all over. You're going over here and doing a side hill clinic and then back over here, helping going through flags.
Yeah. Yep. The days of the gates are over too. We had those props put up there and simulated trees and things like that. And we just, I don't know what's honestly changed so much about it. The riding has changed. And again, just with the private classes, so many people, it's like they've been through that already. So in terms of teaching people fundamentals on a snowmobile, like, it's stuff that you can learn in an hour, like in terms of foot placement and like where it needs to be. And now it's just, let's hone those skills in. And then once we finally figure out those things and start gaining some confidence, all we have to do is change the terrain.
Yeah.
That's the unique thing about snowmobiling. While it's an always learning environment once you're out there, is I can get people that are just as confident as they think they can be on certain slopes or a certain snowpack or whatever. And all you do is change the terrain, and you just get people to, right away, it's another challenge.
Yeah. And then we have Chris Burandt. And Chris, people pay to come watch you ride and to get stuck and get a ski pole.
There is some of that, but like Dan was saying, we're so fortunate at this stage of our business is that we get about 75% return rate on our clients, and they're not clients anymore; they're friends.
They're friends,
and they're these groups of just incredible guys who just love the process, love the operation, love the experience. And we, it was about 2016 where we made the big shift. We had just a poor snow year, and we couldn't go just ride. I'm like, guys, we have nowhere to ride, so I guess today I'm going to go like in the bowl where the snow's all packed down. I'm going to like teach people because I don't know what else we can do. And I'll never forget, you know, like us guides were at the end of the day, we're like, that was like the most miserable day ever. These guys are never coming back. And at dinner that night, everyone's high-fiving and like, we've never been able to do that on a snowmobile before. I'm like, wait, you had fun today? Yeah. And I'm like, ding. So yeah, we changed the whole focus of can you hang to how about we teach you how to ride your snowmobile the correct way. And so day one, no matter how many times you've been out, it's a boot camp, and then we go kick butt and have a bunch of fun on day 2 and day 3.
Right. Okay. And then Gabby, you're up in BC, right?
Yes.
Julianne, you're up in BC. Are you at Revelstoke area? What?
I'm in Cranbrook area. It's about 4 hours to Revelstoke. I'm about 2.5 hours from Julianne. I'm quite close to the U.S. border, Idaho and Montana border.
So like a little east of Kelowna? Or is that, am I in the wrong area?
Kelowna's a little further.
Yeah, Kelowna's probably like 5-6 hours for me. So we flew out of Spokane, both of us did.
All right.
So
Yeah,
Spokane's like 3 hours for me. 40 minutes and I'm across the border that way.
Okay. So where's the best place to ride? Like, what's your favorite zone to go to?
Oh, that's such a hard one. I mean, I think everybody has a love for their own local riding areas because you have your own.
Oh, this is where you don't want to say.
Well, I was going to say you have your own little honey
4 hours
hole.
up the highway.
But no, nothing like that. But I do really have a good time going to Revelstoke. Like that's somewhere I will go when my local riding area isn't good. Lots of times they'll get a big dump and we won't get it. So I'll head that way quite a bit throughout the season. Those are the two main that I really do.
She likes coming to Alpine, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
I quite love that too, but I don't get to do that often enough, especially when we had COVID. I was lucky enough to go down and ride with Dan and during one of his ladies' clinics, but over COVID it kind of kept us Canadians away.
So what's the biggest difference in terrain and snow type and everything? Obviously, it's a much different elevation.
Well, like my local area, it's very treed riding. I feel like the Revelstoke area, you get a bit of the both, like the really open alpine riding, but then you really get the tree stuff too. I feel like Wyoming, to me, is even like steeper terrain than what we're getting.
It's a little bit different. Like Wyoming, there's a lot of places. Sure, there's a parking lot and you go up a logging road and then you're there. But then there's a lot of places that you're like, you park on the side of the highway, up a drainage, and boom, you're up in the zone. And you don't get that in BC. You know, BC is always like a parking, logging road up, and then the mountain. So
you got to gain a lot of elevation up there, right?
Yeah.
You live down at the bottom, and it rains all winter.
Yeah, we'll call it like 400 feet, 500 feet is kind of like our parking area, and then we're riding at like 65 to 7,000 feet ish, and then there is taller mountains, bigger, but it's kind of like Colorado. It gets a little blown out by the wind and that kind of stuff in the higher elevation.
So are your sleds set up for the elevation, or are you changing stuff on the way up?
No, we're not. We're lucky. We're able to keep. We do have high elevation clutching. Like that's definitely how I tune my snowmobile or get my snowmobile. And then we're not. I'm not really tinkering that much. The only time I've ever had to tinker too much to get the RPM was when I went to visit over at Chris Burandt's place.
Mount Everest over here.
Totally.
Freaking riding on the moon.
Get nowhere if you don't do anything to your sled.
Yeah.
Yeah. So talk a little about your clinic. Like, what's your program like?
Yeah. So I don't get me wrong. Love the privates. You get a lot more out of the privates for sure. But there's some that can't afford the privates, or that just doesn't work out with scheduling or whatever. And if you come out for a bigger clinic, then you're obviously separated into ability levels, and you get to have a little bit of a taste of each coach. So, as I mentioned earlier, you're not getting more than 5 persons per coach in your group, and we switch the coaches throughout the weekend. So you'll show up the evening before the clinic starts, whether it's a 1 day or 2 day. I always do I call it the pre-trip lesson. So I'll go over a mapping lesson on the computer. I bring up Google Earth and I teach them how to read a map before going into terrain, to identify access points, to identify, avalanche paths, to identify, because very often it's socked in, you can't see it. So you got to kind of know when the areas of danger come up without being able to see it. So being able to manage your group in those areas is huge, and you can only know that by looking at maps if you haven't been in that area, or knowing the terrain before going into it. So I cover a lot of pre-trip stuff. So making sure we have the proper gear within our group, making sure that we have proper communications, establishing the radio channel, all that kind of stuff. And then day one on snow, we always do an avalanche training scenario, so making sure that they know how to use their gear, that kind of stuff, making sure everybody's, batteries are charged, all that kind of stuff. And then after that, we break up into ability groups, and then we work on skills progression stuff. So if it's a one day, I go through it pretty quick because I want everybody to go home with a lot in their toolbox to practice. So once I start seeing them kind of get the skill, then I'll move on to the next one, kind of thing. Whereas the 2 day, it's a little bit more stretched out, more time to practice and give feedback and stuff. And thanks to our amazing sponsors, we always have amazing prizes to give away to our clients. So we always end it with a little thank you gift to them, and then it's adios till next time. And
so what are the main skills that you wind up teaching most often?
Yeah, so beginners, for example, is all about weight distribution and throttle control, and being able to counter steer and put it together. Very often at a beginner stage, it's hard to link the throttle control with the managing of the shifting of weight and stuff like that. So I try to get that pretty clear to them. Intermediate stage, we're focusing more on side hilling. Advanced stage, we're focusing more on technical riding. So downhill, side hill descents, and going back uphill. We're starting to incorporate obstacles, trees, that kind of stuff. So you'll go to one of my clinics and you'll be an intermediate rider, and you go to one of Brett's Turcotte's clinics, for example, then all of a sudden that intermediate rider, you're a beginner rider in his clinic, So I have a very clear description of what my levels are on my website, or when I talk to my clients, I obviously tell them. But you just make sure when you go to different clinicians to make sure what that skill level is in their words, kind of thing.
So Dan and Chris, same thing to you. Like, what do you most frequently teach? Like, somebody who thinks that they're an experienced rider, but they keep making the same mistake over and over. Like, are you like rolling up next to them and be like, hey, like, stop doing this, or lean this way, or?
I've become quite a jerk, actually. I'm just getting less tolerant. I'm like, dude, you keep doing this. Stop it. If you keep making the same, if you keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result, you're insane. Don't make me call you insane. Okay.
Yeah,
People don't want to ride with me anymore.
I am to a
He gets return clients all the time.
I am to a T my high school wrestling coach, which I hated then, and now I fully get it. I fully understand, and all I'm meaning is it's like when you want to show me effort. So for me, it was like, if you want to make varsity, you want to make weight, and you want to be on this team, and you want to show me effort, I'm your coach. You want to come up with a whole bunch of reasons why you're not going to do that, then you can sit over there and I don't see you. And
if I did that in my clinics, I'd make the girls cry.
Yeah.
We make guys cry.
we make guys cry. Yeah. I agree with Chris. There's a lot of it where it's like that definition of insanity. You're just doing the same thing over and over.
So how do those riders receive that? Like I'm sure you're dealing with the same thing. Like, when you're telling them, like, look, either put the effort in or just don't do it at all. Like, they're paying you to do this, but what do you do?
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead and do it.
This is so I kind of, I was joking a little bit, but this is the part I really love, is that they're so used to just like riding average that when they come and they like keep failing, then they so now they're not the best in their group with their buddy doing average terrain. Now they come into our world and they thought they were going to do better than they were. And so this is why it's so awesome of the clientele that we have now, because when you are put in that position, what happens is you can go one of two ways. Mm-hmm. You can say, screw this, this isn't for me. Or you can say, screw this, I'm learning how to do this. What do I need to do? What am I doing wrong? and they come back so motivated and so fired up because now they're getting something out of it for their dollar, right? You said, well, they're paying for this. It's like, yeah. And so I have 3 short days with these guys, and so I am going to be fairly aggressive.
Kick their ass.
I'm going to be aggressive and hard because, guys, like, I'm not asking you to, like, move the moon. I'm asking you to move your foot back. The reason you keep doing that is because your foot's too far forward and you're not using the gas and you're not riding with a finger on your brake and your shoulders are down. Like, it's all the same recipe. And I've learned a lot from Dan. Dan is an incredible teacher, and I've learned a lot from him from, like, a little bit of the verbiage and technique side of things. One thing I'll never forget, we were talking about, or I can't remember where we were at, but he said, you know, your shoulders weren't square, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good one. I'm going to steal that one. And so, like, you know, that's what's really enjoyable is, like, all we have to do is those 3 basic things: get on edge, park nose low, throttle control, finger on the brake, eyes up, right, and shoulder square.
Totally.
Okay, those are 10 things, but you know, and you have to do them all at the same time. But
you got to pay him for the other tips.
Yeah, exactly. And then you know, and that's what's fun, and that's what gives, you know, job security is, you know, once you get to be a rider who is a 6 or 7. It takes a tremendous amount of time to get that rider, to be a rider of an 8 or 9 or 10.
Yeah.
So we love getting the guys to the 6 or 7 because then they've bit, right? And then they want to be just like us of, okay, where's the next step?
Yeah.
Totally.
And we say it all the time. It's not next level, let's stay the same clinics. Like, the point of why you're there and why you've spent the money is that you're truly there to get better, not to give me excuses of why you can't.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't hear the word can't. Can't, won't, don't, shouldn't. All of those words are just this. You're already giving up. We haven't even started yet. You're already shaking your head no. That's not a client to next level. And so we've weaned them out. That's why it's private classes. And the people that come, like you said, like, I've skipped a lot of pleasantries. It's no more of this, like, hi, how are you doing? You're looking great. Like, all these things. It's not that. You came here to be a better rider. Like, let's go get it done.
Yes.
And
Yeah, it's
how
like,
many people...
Dan's here, stretch.
Yeah.
And
Sergeant
you've
Dan.
been there. You know
Yeah.
what that's like. Yeah, I want people... And it's preventative, too, right? I'm not depending on any of those people to tell me that they've done that. So we do it right in front of them. And I do it, too, right? It's all part of it. So and it was the kind words from this guy right here. Like, and you've taught me a lot. And in terms of, like, verbiage and, like, how we've... like, managed to, like, take one thing from each other of how we've done that. We've both been doing these things where it's like there's just things that make perfect sense and we weren't always thinking about it. It's pretty tough to dissect the sport as you're doing it, like, really understanding, like, where your feet need to be and, like, what your shoulders are doing and what it is. We all get it, like, eyes up, finger on the brake, and, like, remembering to breathe. Those are these elements that if you were talking about, like, the big 3, like, that would be what it is. And I've learned a ton of these things that are just the right words to tell people, because not only do we have to show people how to be a better snowmobiler, you got to tell them in terms that they can relate with, and this is men and women. So believe me, when I talk about, like, being abrupt or being like my old high school wrestling coach, when it's a lady in front of me or even somebody I don't know, it's not like I go in and I'm just Mr. Aggressive and I'm there to, like, put fear into them. That's not it. It's just the point of next level is to become a better rider. So I hope that you knew that when you signed up. It's written all over the place. Like, it's not let's go see a moose or a hidden waterfall. Like, you're there to be a better rider. So let's go get it done.
I got one more point, and then I'll let you go. You were asking about group size and everything, and it's awesome what you do. You know, 15, and then you have your coaches. So we do it a little different. We have 2 groups of 6 go out. So myself and a sweep guy, and then I have an incredible team of riders, of guides that really have taken BBA to where it is, and so, like, now. And this was always my dream. Like, when I would come to Heydays 6 years ago, it's like when we were trying to do bookings, like, everyone wanted to ride with me. It makes it really hard to, like, grow the business and me be able to take time off and do all those things. And now, you know, whether it's Kyle or Andrew or Blaine or Ryan or, you know, just like I have this tremendous, or TJ, you know, like, I have this awesome group of guys that really makes the whole program work.
Yeah.
It's just not me. I'm mean.
And I've gotten to a spot, too, where, I mean, Gabby brought it up, like, having both of these coaches come down and be a part of Next Level. I think that if there was a direction that I'm going to go with what I do with Next Level, it'd be doing a lot more of that. I really like this idea. Like, I had Andy, and I think Andy's come and helped guide and be a part of your program, too. like Andy Thomas is one of those guys that can't help but be awesome. He just doesn't know any other way. And so he came and was a part of Next Level, and he just his behavior, obviously him as a rider kind of goes without saying, but it was just like having these guys that are just who they are in the industry, these gals that who they are in the industry, and having them be guests as a part of what we do. I think that's so awesome for the customer experience. It's so awesome for me. I don't have to tell these guys like how to do it. In fact, I don't want to tell you what to do. I want you guys to be your natural selves and have that, that other way that you coach. Because we didn't just develop like one system. Heck, I've just got a curriculum that has worked for quite some time, but I love hearing from other riders and how they teach and how I'll be telling somebody about their feet or about a position or about something that I need them to get done, and they're just not receiving it. They're not hearing it. And then I'll have one of my other coaches or somebody will come in and they'll say it, and they just said it in a different way, and they're like, oh my God, like that's what clicked the lights on. End of the day, that's fantastic. Because we go home with the win, right? We have the aha moment. I don't care how we got there. It doesn't always have to be through me. So having guest coaches and things like that, if there was like stuff that as I think about the future of Next Level, I'm not going to continue to like hire on this huge staff. I'd rather have just guest coaches come and be a part of it. And heck, this guy and I have yet to do that. We did it in Chile a little bit. And I'd say that there's a future in that as well.
That'd be fun.
Everybody learns differently, right? So I always highly tell my clients, get clinics from multiple different people, because you might learn better with somebody else, or might realize that you learn best with me. Like, you never really know until you try.
And terrain changes and snow changes.
Exactly.
And if you go to every spot,
yeah,
you ride different snow, you ride different angles, you ride different...
When I went to Colorado for the Climb Team ride, I told myself I'd never go back there because it is so darn challenging to ride there.
And it's really just my spot, to be honest. There's really fun places in Colorado. Mine is not.
It was so challenging to ride there.
I don't even know if it's your spot. It's where you choose to go and where we choose as idiots to follow. Like we have so much fun, dude. I think that's the end of the day, right? The customer experience is so much fun. It's no wonder the clinics are what they are. Totally. I think people, they enjoy themselves. It's not just about the riding. It's about the whole. I mean, with Chris, it's the lodge, it's the food, and you guys as well. Matt's working on his program. Yeah. Caleb's working on his program with his lodge, just everything else. So it's an entire experience. It's not just what we do on the snow.
Yeah.
So. Right, totally. So how is the sport doing with female riders? Because there are more than I've ever seen, and I've been in this sport for 25, 30, 35 years. Mm-hmm. But you guys have done a great job showcasing how easy this sport is to actually participate in and ride in. How is it working for you?
It's been quite the change over the years. Like, I look back, 15, 20 years ago, and I was the only female in my group. And I remember going out one day with Dan Treadway, long blonde hair, and he at the time was wearing like an Oakley outerwear, and it had a little bit of pink on it. And I was taking a break, and he was just ripping, and this crew comes along, and they're like, whoa, is that girl? She really rips. And I'm like, oh, that's Dan Treadway. So like, seeing females in the backcountry was just pretty much non-existent on sleds. And then now you go out, and it's like, maybe not half, but there is a huge percentage of women. So it's not only a great feeling to know that women are getting stronger and mentally they're knowing that they can do it and try it and keep pushing through it. Because don't get me wrong, it is the hard. And I've tried a lot of sports in my life, and the snowmobiling in the mountains along with surfing are two of the hardest sports I've ever done in my life. So the fact that women are now having the ability to accept this and keep trying and doing it, it's so nice. Like, I don't feel so intimidated in the backcountry being the only girl anymore. So it's really, really cool to see.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, you come from the athlete side of wakeboarding and all that. How does this translate into snowmobiling with you?
Well, I mean, like, for snowmobiling for me, it really was something that I've done with my family my entire life. And then in the summer, it's been water sports for my family too. But it's been very similar in the fact of like how Julianne said, years ago, the only person I saw out snowmobiling that was a female was my mom. Every time I went to the parking lot as a kid, it was me and my mom would be the only ones in the whole place. And now it's every year. It blows me away at how many more women are actually out there. I think, like in my local area, you're probably starting to see almost a quarter of the parking lot is women now.
And independent women, not just
Yeah.
the ones
Yeah,
going
yeah,
with
yeah.
their
Going on
husbands.
their own,
That's
putting
right.
their own
on their
groups
own, their
together.
own truck, their
Exactly.
own crew of girls. Like, it's so cool to see.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
cool.
like the majority of
cool.
the girls that I ride with, they load up and go out themselves. Like most of them that I meet out in Revelstoke, I'll just go and meet with them. They're not coming, with their partner. Or lots of them, their partners don't ride even, which surprises me. Like seeing girls where it's like they're doing it on their own like that. So I think that's pretty fantastic. And I think too, the sleds have just made it so much more accessible for women too.
Yeah,
true that.
sleds and gear, but you guys have done a great job, like showcasing what can be done, and making the sport just look really intriguing. I think you've brought a lot of people to it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have to give these two props. Like, we had the backcountry team ride this last year, and then the next day, not everybody could go, but I took these two gals on a loop in Alpine that you've been on with me before, and we didn't skip anything. We
Mind
didn't go
blown.
around anything. There was no easy way. There was no highway option. All of it was very technical, and these two, it's just awesome. League of their own for sure.
We like to get things done. So like, when there's photo shoots and business that needs to get done, we're here to work, and I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
All
no
right.
more pressure. Like before, it was like, okay, the camera's out, and I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna try this, and then poof, just totally screw up. Now it's like, okay, camera's there, I'm just riding, and then we get the shots, and it's done. It's progression's cool.
All right, well, we're getting rained out here, so
Feels so
I think we're ready.
fantastic.
Yeah, it does feel good. Knock the dust down a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah,
Finally.
That's right.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on. Appreciate you having taking the time to come sit down and talk with us and talk about clinics and learning and all that. But again, Gabby, Julianne, Dan, and Chris, you guys have kind of defined a big segment of this sport, and it's fun to see the progression. And you guys come up with new ways to push it every single year and new content. It's just fun to sit back and watch this.
Thanks, Ryan.
Well, Ryan, I got to give big props to you. We've been friends for a long, long time. SnoWest has been around as long as I've been a snowmobiler, and you've done an amazing job of
Telling
really
the
just
story.
telling the story of exactly what this journey that we
Reality.
have all been on.
Well,
You've
thanks.
been there.
'Cause that's what I mean. When we started Sledheads, it was just, man, there are athletes in this sport and they don't get any recognition. Like
Yeah.
it's like snowboarding. Look at snowboarding, and there are people that just stand out in that segment.
Totally.
And they're icons in the sport. It's like we need that. Like these guys, you guys are phenomenal riders and phenomenal athletes and ambassadors for the sport. Let's create a way to get more exposure.
Yeah.
And build that segment up.
Yeah,
That-
Very
that's all we
appreciative
were ever
for
after.
all the work.
Thanks
Yep.
for the
Yeah.
support.
And I get to seal coat your driveway. It's such a win.
Yeah, get to see Jason every summer. All right. I appreciate you coming on. Talk to you later.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Cheers.
Have a good night.